So now let's get into the meat of things. Okay, and I'm going to start off by putting Sbu from Telkom on the spot. I haven't been mic'd yet, so, but mic me as I speak because I want to be speaking as I told you I'm multitasking, so you can go ahead and mic me. I'm going to start by putting Sbu on the spot and say, Sbu, can you please share with us, what role did the auditing committee of Telkom play in terms of appointing the joint audits, and how is the joint auditing working within your organization? What is working well, and are there any lessons we can learn from your experience?
Okay, thanks. Can everyone hear me? Okay, well, I can hear myself. Well, you start by saying you are putting me on the spot. Generally, you put someone on the spot if they have certain things that they are embarrassed about. Certainly, you're not putting me on the spot because I believe that as Telkom, we've actually taken a very conscious decision to make a contribution into the accounting profession by making sure that whilst we have one of the big 4 firms, but we make sure that they partner with what we would call an emerging firm. And this decision was taken mainly to make sure that if you look at the telecommunications environment, it's a very specialized environment. And there's very few companies that operate in that space. So if we as Telkom didn't take that conscious decision to say, let us allow one of the black firms to partner with a big firm, then who else was going to do it? And we looked at it from a perspective of, one, we want to make an investment. So we did not shy away from the cost issue. We understood that if you're bringing in another audit firm, there will be cost implications, but the cost implications are a short-term issue. You need to look at the long-term issues. We also looked at issues of creating capacity and skill, because we didn't just bring in an emerging firm and said, let's leave everything to chance. But we had to sit down with the big 4 firm, which, by the way, was very accommodative, and they really embraced, they went out of their way to embrace the issue and the principles that the audit committee wanted to impose, and took this upon themselves to say, let's agree on a work program, let's agree on tangible skills transfer that will take place over a period of time. And every year, at the beginning of the year, there's a session that we have where we say, these are the areas that are going to be focus areas for skills development, skills transfer. We also then look at the emerging firm and say, where can capacity issues be built? On top of that as well, the audit areas are rotated on an annual basis to make sure that you don't have the emerging firm only sitting and auditing your cash and bank and debtors, and they're really not getting into the complex issues of the business. So those things have been agreed up front, they've been happening, and I think it's been a very successful model that we've seen, such that my understanding is the relationship between the black firm and the big 4 firm now goes even and extends beyond ESCOM. They can even go outside to other clients because of the relationship and the environment that has been created through the Telkom initiative to look for work together, because they now have got, they can complement each other.
Okay. But I think there are 2 things that stand out for me. Do you think that the fact that there is such political willpower for transformation helps you as an audit committee? In other words, I'm trying to say, how can other people have or build the same power base to say, listen, this is what we're going to do, other audit committees outside of the public sector? I'm saying maybe it's a little bit easier because there's political support. That's one. Secondly, it sounds like it's working because you take a concerted effort to monitor and control how that skills transfer happens.
Okay. I think we all have to realize where we are. In fact, the first reaction is that we should be ashamed of ourselves that in this day and age we're still talking about emerging black firms, how do we want to partner? We should be having giant black firms that can stand on their own. It means that somewhere along the line, we have missed certain things. We haven't driven certain initiatives. So I think it should be things that audit committees, boards of companies, management in companies take it upon themselves to say, how do we contribute and make sure that we drive issues of transformation, make sure that where things are not happening by themselves, we impose things. I think that way we will then have a meaningful difference that can move forward. And moreover, if you look at what's happening now, mainly in some of these boards and these audit committees, you find that the committees themselves are very much transformed. So they need to then take that upon themselves to say, yes, the committee is transformed, the board is transformed, even the management structure is transformed. So how then do we use that power base that we have to make sure that we extend it into the value chain, especially around the accounting profession, and make a meaningful difference by empowering the emerging firms so that they can then be able to emerge as giants into the future.
I think you make a very interesting point. There's a lot of transformation within the audit committees, but we don't see the same transformation in terms of the of appointments of black firms in doing jobs. And I think the issues around elements of comfort in terms of partnering and whether that will work. But before I go into further questions with you, I'll give over to the Chief Financial Officer of Discovery, Richard, to just give us your experience. And I'll preface it by saying recently I was talking to somebody, it was a black Chief Financial Officer in an asset management company. And he was saying that he's concerned about giving an audit to a black firm because he's not sure that they can handle a black audit. So I mean, there are private companies that are doing this, and they're doing it in a joint partnership arrangement. So surely that works. I want to hear your lessons and the sort of encouragement you can give to other audit committees.
Thanks. I think those words have some resonance. I must confess, the partnership that we have between a Big Four and emerging black woman firm wasn't my idea. Cindy suggested it, and I embraced it. And there was quite a lot of people inside the firm, inside our own company, that said, are you sure we can actually do this? Exactly the same comment is, can this firm do it? And to be fair, I'm not sure it's even a black firm thing. I mean, previous experience, I worked in a medium-sized, at that point, it's totally joined us at some point, but substantially white firm. And the people in insurance, we did no insurance audits because people always said, insurance companies are way too complicated, only the Big Four can do it. And I think that is wrong. I think that, firstly, you've got to realize that even within the Big Four, yes, there are pockets of technical expertise, but the bulk of the people are the same people like me and you. That we've all had the same training, and we all can do it. Okay. All that's really needed more is the exposure. So what we decided to do was to do exactly, so to speak here, is do a joint audit. And what was quite inspiring actually was the tender process. We went out and met with quite a lot of firms, and it's quite inspiring what's going on out there in the profession. That there are a lot of black firms, and particularly black women firms, that are emerging and that are doing fantastic things. And I think as a country we can be proud of them. And so we selected to partner with in Nearbo, and in doing it, we actually went probably, I think, one thing that I think was more important for us was somewhere could we help build a business in some respect? It's part of the way we do empowerment is to say, can we help do it? So I said to the team, certain things we need to make sure we do. For example, and many of you will resonate with this, is mind the skills transfer. Some basic things that I learned in the auditing profession is make sure you pay the bills on time. You know, those of you sitting out there in auditing firms will realize that the cash flow is, you've got to pay your staff at the end of every month, and it's the single biggest thing that you're probably worrying about on a day-to-day basis. Second to the URBA review that's coming along the line. So we really engaged it, and I'd say the only way that we kind of overcame, to come back to your point, that overcame the initial inertia was really kind of to endorse it and say it's something we're going to do, we're going to have to deal with it, and let's support them every step of the way. And I think it's been great.